What is up, guys? It is Robbie here, and make sure to like and sub, and we're gonna get right into this video. So today I want to talk about not the state of Apex Legends, but what the fuck is going on, bruh? I am really confused right now, because they're like, we're gonna give Octane team utility, and honestly, it didn't do that much. It made him maybe a little more fun to play, because you get that barely, maybe an extra 5 feet, or 5 meters of the jump, but it doesn't do much. So I want to talk about what they could honestly change around and maybe make Octane actually viable for players. I thought he was gonna be, I thought he was gonna be able to be played a lot. Like a lot of people would choose him. I mean, people still choose him, but he's still not viable. So I'm gonna get into 5 cool buffs that they could still do for him. Because this, as I said, they're gonna give him buffs if this is not enough, and this was definitely not enough. Alright, so first I'm going to go over the Octane buff, then I'm going to go over some other legend buffs that I would like to see. So, the Octane buff, it wasn't bad. It gave him definitely a little bit more team utility if you want to count that team. It didn't really do very much. It did help him a little bit more with he can't be slowed by enemy things such as Watson's fences or caustic gas. But that's not helping his team really unless he's pushing someone who can't be pushed by his teammates. Now, I think that a cool buff idea for him would be that the double jump would be considered. It actually gives them a double jump pad, almost as if they press X in the air or whatever, but jump button, I guess. That it'll actually give him a height of another jump pad. I feel like that would be a awesome buff, and that would give him some of the best team utility in the game. Now, would that be broken? Probably not that broken, but it might be a little OP, but that would honestly make him a lot more viable and even playable in ranked. Now, I know people do play him in ranked somewhat, but he's not a viable player in ranked. So, I think that'd be a really nice buff. And next, we're going to get into Crypto. Alright, so for the Crypto buff, I mean, as we all know, he just got his town takeover, and it's actually pretty cool. I mean, you can see where all the enemies are and stuff, kind of like how you saw like in the Apex tournaments. And I think it's pretty cool how that works. Now, I think that a very cool buff for him would be that it would change his EMP thing to 75 damage per shields. And whatever it doesn't do does not affect any health, it just affects shields, so it'll break probably purple shields, and it will definitely put a crack in red Evo shields. But I think to make it even more awesome and make him one of the most played players in the game would be that he does not have to receive damage himself, or he will receive minimal damage. Now that might be a little bit broken, but I feel like that would be make him a lot more fun to play, and it would make it so because your team is at a disadvantage when you are at low health all the time if you're EMPing people. Now you can EMP people and you be out of the range, but that is not, most of the time that's not what you're doing. Most of the time you're over with them, unless your teammates are pushing and then you go after. So I'd like to see that, and I think that would make him a very viable character to play, and that would make him a lot more fun. I think I've said that like 6 times now, though. So now, I think another cool thing that they could do with him would maybe be take away his EMP and maybe just give him a giant scan, kind of like how his thing is right now, and his ultimate could just tell you where all the enemy squads are, because I mean that's what his drone kind of does. I don't feel like his drone doesn't look like I mean, I'm fine with it scouting everywhere, that I can tell you where enemies are, but I feel like if his ultimate was just a giant scan, that wouldn't really take away from Bloodhound, because he can already do that with his drone anyway, pretty much, except just at a shorter range. So maybe give him like, it tells you where all enemies are within a 200-meter range, or something like that. I feel like that would be pretty fun, and that wouldn't be overpowered because, it's only 200 meters. So, as long as they don't make it too broken, I feel like Crypto would be a very fun legend to play, especially with that kind of buff. Alright, number 3 we have Bloodhound. Now, I would like to see, now he did get a buff, but I feel like it is still not enough for him. I think that would be a cool one, would be that I think he should move slower, but he gets more time. I feel like maybe that thing should last 1 minute, Now, of course, it would not be recharging as he was going, but if it was, let's say, last for a minute, that'd give him plenty of time, especially late ring if he's chasing a whole squad. Because 30 seconds just doesn't give you a lot of time, if we're being honest. Or 40 seconds. I think it's 30. So, now a minute might be a little bit broke, but maybe 45 to 50 seconds would be better. Now, I know that he got that buff where late season 4, I believe, that when he knocks someone, that it gives him 5 extra seconds. Now, I think that he should get rid of that and just make it longer in general, because, you know, sometimes you're not always using it to knock, sometimes you're using it just to gain upon enemies that you're chasing, because, you know, you're a fucking tracker. So, I feel like that would be a cool buff for him, and I feel like they should add that for him. And, honestly, you know, what is there to lose with him? I mean, not a lot of people use him in ranked and stuff, so I mean, that's kind of like with Octane. Like, you can do test buffs. I mean, what is nothing bad's gonna happen. You can just like how the dummies dig out in a way. They kind of tested that for Mirage in a way. So like they could do something like that with Bloodhound maybe. You know, I feel like that'd be a cool thing. Okay, so the next legend I'm talking about is Wraith, and no, I don't like to talk about Wraith buffs. Wraith buffs. So let's talk about that. Alright, so Wraith maybe is not the most dire legend. I'm just giving ideas for legends, I guess. But I think a cool buff for her would, first off, I feel like that teleport, her phase thing, I feel like that doesn't make a lot of sense because even when I'm already trying to use the phase before, I was already getting knocked before I was even able to go into phase mode. So doing this really kind of fucks her over, and then you guys already made her portal slower, and well, not slower, but it made it so it didn't last as far. So I think they're slowly trying to get like rid of the choose rate of Wraith, since the people use her so much. But it I feel like she needs something, um, some sort of buff or like up click, if you get what I'm saying, to make her. She's still viable. Like, she's one of the most played legends, and she's still one of the most fun legends. Slash, she has a lot of team utility, but she needs a little bit. I think she needs to get either her phase can go faster, or I feel like a cool thing would be that her portal goes faster and longer. Just one of those two, because this I feel like this thing kind of screws her over. I mean, she has a little hand thing where it looks like her hand's having a seizure, and then she goes into a phase mode. Now, the way they did that kind of pissed me off because I'm not sure why they needed to do this to Wraith. I feel like she was already in a good spot. She didn't need a nerf or a buff, but then they had to do it. So we will definitely have to see what they do, or if they're just going to keep it this way. She's still going to be one of the most played legends. I'm just trying to, maybe, just give Wraith a little bit of love. I don't talk about Wraith a lot. So, we will definitely see. Now, this next one will be a shock, but I'm going Loba. I feel like maybe she should get more distance, or maybe she should be able to have one weapon pulled out as she's using her tactical, the Feast Best Friend, I think that's what it's called. It's just, that happens so much, and I like doing it to other people, but it sucks when that is you. So, and she's already not a broken character, she's still kind of meta, but I feel like this buff could put her to a top ranked position because you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, perhaps your whole team at a disadvantage when you are doing that. So, I think either make the thing really fast, or towards the end she doesn't have to put the bracelet back on, it just automatically does that, and you can have your weapon as soon as you land. Because that is kind of bullshit to me that keeps happening to her. So, now, before we leave, I just want to make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe one last time, and we're going to go to a legend I think that needs a nerf, a really big nerf. Now, this legend has been OP for the past couple of seasons, and honestly, he just needs maybe just to leave the game all in general because of how OP he really is. So, without further ado, in about 20 seconds, I'm going to get into this real fast. But all these legends can deserve buffs or nerfs. It just depends how you look at it. And make sure to leave a comment of a video idea that you guys would like to see. I've already done a couple of video ideas from other people, and I'm always down to do some more. Alright, guys, here is this legend that needs a nerf. Here we go. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. I think the legend that needs the nerf the most is Pathfinder. I think he should have to wait a minute before he can grapple. And then he can also be shot down mid-grapple. Alright guys, thank you for fucking watching. I do appreciate it. I hope to see you guys hopefully in a stream when my internet is not being crap. And I'm excited to see where our channel goes. I thank everyone for all the support we've been getting. We've been growing really fast. We've not been able to stream the past 2 days, which has put it pretty much like a stall on our growth and our having fun with our community. But we'll get back to there, guys, soon. I want to thank everyone for watching again. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you guys later. WD Robbie, fucking out. Let's go jack off.